even when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, kids are starting to grasp the concept of money and that it can be used to buy things. Adults who have had financial education as a child are 40% more likely to be in employment. They're far more likely to have a savings pot behind them.
Louise Hill is the co-founder and CEO of GoHenry, a financial education app that helps kids and teens manage their money.
Whenever anybody says, what's the one thing I can do to help my kids learn about money, it is give them regular pocket money.
I'm not paying them to tidy their room. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain jobs that where if he's like, oh, I want extra money, I'd be like, okay, let's come build a shed. Build the shed out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Phones off.
I got my phone, so I might play an audio clip in a bit.
Yeah, maybe pull
It's on silent, but yeah, I might play an audio. We'll look forward to that. It's my son talking about his GoHenry card.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we've got two in our house.
Two,
yeah, for years
cards.
as well. So yeah, we can have a talk about that and their feelings and the mischief that he gets up to with his card and the branding on the card.
Yes. At one point in time, I used to not to the kids refer to it as track my teenagers, because when they were kind of 15, 16 and, you know, out and about, I didn't want to be that helicopter parent of, you know, have they actually gone to the cinema? Have they actually, I don't know, you know, are they in Southampton or have they gone somewhere completely different? Little ping on the phone, see that they've bought cinema tickets. It's like, okay, that's good.
That tells you more about what they're doing than what they tell you.
Yeah. Well, entirely when they're when they're teenagers. Yeah.
Well, we want to have a conversation around preparing kids for adulthood and relinquishing, you know, throwing them out the nest and all of that stuff. So hopefully you've got some insights there as well, both from the data perspective and as a parent. We'll try and bring our stuff because
I got 2-year-olds, so we've got like the whole kids range 2, 9, 11 to 20. So we're covered for the whole journey.
He likes a bit of money as well, doesn't he?
He's got a what do you call it? Piggy bank.
Right.
And anytime he sees cash, in fact, he just goes to my wallet sometimes and takes out cash. You see in the coffee shop when we get the cash out, he's like, money, and everyone in the coffee shop's laughing. He's been doing that since he was like, since he could talk. He'd loved money. So, yeah.
But then you see how they also kind of don't get it in terms of, I'd be like, I've got no money. He's like, yeah, but you've got your phone. You know, and they think that the phone is like this infinite source of money, or that it's not the same. Do you know what I mean? It's like a level of separation away from the notes.
Well, it's all about, it's that challenge of how do you make digital money tangible. No, I mean, I remember my son a long time ago now, not long after I got divorced, actually, and there was not much money around. And he was asking for some fancy pair of football boots because he's always played football. And I said, I can't afford it. I just can't afford it, Mackenzie. Stop asking. And bless him, he said, well, go and get some from the machine. And I can remember thinking at the time, he has no concept, does he? You know, and then thinking, well, no, of course he's got no concept that the money has to come from somewhere. That it has to be mine, otherwise I can't take it out of the machine if it's not in the bank.
So you started it, I think what might be useful is, can you explain what GoHenry is to people that haven't heard? There's a lot of people that don't have kids, so they might not be exposed. And then could we talk about why you started it?
Right. What's GoHenry? So what is GoHenry? It is a debit card and financial education app for kids, teaching kids to learn about earning, saving, spending, investing, all of the life skills that they need around money. Started it 13 years ago. So we launched to the public in the UK back in November 2012. And where did the idea come from? To answer that question, a real life parenting challenge that I was having. My kids were probably 7 and 9 or maybe 8 and 10. And they'd both been bought the tiny little square iPods for a Christmas present. And kind of without thinking, I'd given them the login to my iTunes account, which had my credit card attached to it. And literally they were having a great time downloading downloading music, without a care in the world, without any concept that was spending money. And as a parent, I was trying to figure out, how do I get that connection across to them? Every time they click that button, they're spending money. And I did all sorts of things. So some of this kind of gives away a little bit of my character, I think. In those days, iTunes used to send you an email with an invoice attached for every single download. So I started printing those out, putting them on the fridge door with a magnet. And then come pocket money day, which in our house was Saturday morning, when the kids were stood there with their hands out, I would literally say to one of them, I'd normally give you £5 today, but here's what you've spent on iTunes
You owe me
this
30
week.
quid.
Your minus 700.
Sometimes it really was that, but usually, they'd got 80p or they'd got 50p left. And of course, sad little face in front of me, and I've joked many times that mum's the bad guy again. And I was joking with other parents about it and sort of telling them this tale because I thought I must be missing something. It's like, what else? There must be something out there that helps parents deal with this. And all these stories came out about kids who were buying things on eBay, kids who were running up bills on their gaming platforms, buying hair scrunchies for their little pony online, all kinds of things, but with no limits, using their parents' debit or credit cards and making big mistakes. £600 gone, £2,000 gone. And what became immediately apparent was there didn't seem to be anything out there that let parents deal with it. And I guess what I realised was we'd effectively left kids behind. We were buying things online. We were transacting online. Contactless cards had just arrived in the UK. We were tapping with our cards. But kids, we were still giving them cash. And yet they were already interacting with digital money. They were interacting online. And there was nothing there to help parents manage that. And that was fundamentally, that was the idea for GoHenry. It was, how do we build something that helps parents teach their kids about money, and teaches them to use it the way that all of us as adults were using it.
And was there nothing, like with the traditional banks not offering?
No.
I remember when I used to have to go in with like a little book and they would like stamp it. And
I remember getting my first, but it was Barclays, and you had to go with a little check, paying in book.
Yeah, paying book, they stamp it and then,
I used to have a post office book. My nana used to take me in every week when I went down to buy bread with her at the weekend. And that was still pretty much what was operating with the high street banks. Most of them were offering what they called a cash card for 11, 12-year-olds, which was literally a card that would allow a child to go to an ATM and take some money out, some cash out. Nothing more than that. They couldn't use it to pay for things. And yet it was obvious that kids much younger than 11 or 12 were already using online services.
Yeah, and they're also, their attitudes towards money form quite young, so you kind of missed the boat, right?
Completely. Yeah, I mean, there's a big piece of research by Cambridge University that if you speak to pretty much anybody in the field of money and financial education, they will tell you about this study. It showed overwhelming proof that financial habits start to be set from the age of 7. And a lot of parents are really surprised by that. You can imagine I've trotted out that piece of information many times over the last 13 years. Lots of parents are surprised by that. But actually, when you then talk to those parents and talk to them about how their kids react to money, even when they're 2, 3, 4, 5, kids are starting to grasp the concept of money and that it can be used to buy things, that it's a trading tool. And those habits, the way that money is talked about in the household, whether there is a sense of fear or a sense of lack of control or a sense of positivity around it, all of those things influence how that child will grow up thinking about money. And if those habits are starting to be formed at 7, the earlier you can start talking to your kids, doing some practical things around teaching them about money, then the better.
We've talked about this before on the podcast, like money habits are formed when you're very young. And I was talking to my friend about GoHenry. He said he made you, I thought of it because you mentioned that you said we didn't have money. He said he told his kids we don't have much money at the time. And as they've grown older now, they're like, very cautious with their money. They always want like a safety blanket. So it does affect how you perceive money. When do you think the best time to start talking to kids about money is?
I genuinely think the earlier the better. I really do. The key thing is that it's age appropriate. So you're not going to talk to a 4-year-old about compound interest, clearly. But if you're talking to them about choices you make when you're buying things, or if you take a 7 or 8-year-old, you might be in the supermarket, and one of the really easy conversations to have is to look at the price of the big brand baked beans and then the supermarket own brand baked beans, and look at the difference in price. And sometimes turn it into a game. You know, you can turn a lot of these things into a game with the children. Let's see how much money we can save today. And let them look at the prices, look at the difference, decide to take the cheaper one and add up how much have we saved today. Maybe then you can give that to them to put in their savings pot. But there's all kinds of ways you can talk to kids about money in an engaging way that's, you know, learning by doing, which is something I certainly talk about an awful lot, because I think it's not just theory, it has to be practice as well.
How many kids do you have on the app now? How many accounts?
Gosh, I think we're up to about 2.2 million kids have been learning about money with GoHenry. We were the first service in the world. I know that sounds mad, but we were in the world to offer this sort of service to parents and kids.
What you've done really well, I'm going to bring my son into this, is you've allowed customization of the card. I'm going to play a clip of my son talking about his. I don't know if you know that you can do this, but hold on 1 second. So I asked him.
What are we going to find out?
I asked him about his card.
Yeah.
If I play it here, will it play?
Yeah. Just into the mic.
How do I make it go speaker? I think it would just will, won't it? Let's see what he says, and then I'll explain if you don't understand.
Choose it again.
Yeah, but do you want
Oh, you can choose whatever animation thing you want.
what the name is?
Yep. I chose Gojo Mama.
What else?
Godie's Nuts.
Go to his nuts.
So basically, you can put the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he they come through the post all the time, and I was like, why has it got Godie's nuts on it? And he started going, Gaddy! He started laughing at me. Yeah, so he loves that. Like,
Yes.
I don't know how rude they can take it, but these nuts seems to pass your filters.
Yes, and there are filters.
Yeah.
You've only got to think about the demographic that are choosing the names.
Yeah.
You imagine the creativity of an
do you
I'm going to
see
say
them?
11-year-old boy. Yeah.
You see them.
Do you know how we built some of the filters? We actually gave our customer support team the task to come up with every rude word they could possibly think of. They were very creative.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And because it's got the go, that gives like a bit of creative license. You
It
can just
does.
put something, a sequence off the back of that.
It does.
So T, recently we had a conversation with tax expert Dan Needle, and I think one thing that became very apparent is you're going to have a real big crypto tax bill.
I am.
What are you going to do with the money, mate? Where are you going to put it?
I don't know. Like every year tax season comes around and I'm stressing. I'm like, how much is my bill going to be?
I'll tell you how I do it. What's important for me is that money, that tax money, is completely separate to every other bit of money in my life, because otherwise I start counting it as mine. I start locking it away in the stock market or whatever. So I use a tied instant saver account that's just attached to my business, and I just put the money in there and keep it in there, and that's solely for the tax.
You can just ping it over to tax man when it's tax time.
I just know it's allocated for, and the stress that takes off me is worth its weight in gold.
Every January I'm stressing.
Check that out, mate. We've got a bit here actually about how you can check it out yourselves. I'll let you read it out because you're the best at reading.
I mean, I'm the star reader of the show. If you're a sole trader or company owner, check out Tide. New members can get up to 4% AER variable for 6 months. I say up to because it depends on how much you deposit in your account. The more you save, the higher the rate.
You can get this deal, plus you can get £100 cash back if you fund your Tide Instant Saver account with £5,000 in the first 30 days. You get that by using the code MAKINGMONEY. Terms and conditions apply. The code is Making Money, all one word, and you'll find the full terms and conditions and all details of the offer in the description below. The variable rate is correct as of the 7th of August, 2025. I think the the data point is interesting because what you've got is millions of data points around how children spend. And
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will have ever collected that kind of data. Obviously, you can see all the creative ways that they try and swear on the front of their cars.
Yes.
But what other interesting insights have you pulled from millions of kids?
Gosh, there's some incredible information in there. And I think probably first thing I should say is we don't sell that data to anybody. We don't share that data with anybody. We do produce what we call youth economy reports that look at how children are behaving with money and the actions they're taking and the way that that's shifting over the years. I said we've been going 13 years now. So, you know, how a 12-year-old was using money 7 years ago is different to how a 12-year-old is using money today. And of course, that's fascinating. Things are shifting quickly. And the other thing we do is we try and elevate the voice of children and teenagers. So we produce kids' eye view reports. And that might be on anything that's going on in society. We did a kids' eye view of the cost of living crisis. Because, of course, when the cost of living crisis hit the press as a phrase, and we were all talking about it in terms of how that was affecting adults and families and jobs, kids pick up on these things. So it was really interesting to look at how that was affecting kids too. We did one fairly recently, kids' eye view of the property ladder. Fascinating. You know, there are a substantial number of kids using GoHenry cards who their savings pot or their savings account is saving up for a house.
Oh, bless them.
Does it say on the pot?
Yeah.
So that's how you kind of get the data. You can
Yeah.
see, they can name the different pots and things.
They can name the different pots, yeah.
Awesome.
Yes. So, yeah, all sorts of data points. One of the things that fascinates me and I'm really excited about, I guess, for the future of, that's going to sound very grandiose, the future of this country, 37% of kids using GoHenry, Gen Alpha kids, we were looking at Gen Alpha at that point in time, Gen Alpha kids using GoHenry have got a side hustle going on. So in other words, they're earning money from somebody other than mum and dad,
Nan.
parents and kids. Yeah, exactly. And that might be trading clothes on Depop or Vinted. It might be, you can actually see buying in supplies and then presumably they're making things and selling things on Etsy because they've got money coming in from Etsy. Social media influencers, people earning money from gaming, all sorts of things. But this concept of a side hustle, really interesting at how that plays out as they go into adulthood and what that means for the workplace going forward.
What is Gen Alpha? Like, what age range is that?
Currently, age 14 will be the oldest. Might have just tipped into age 15, but yeah.
And is that all the way down to, is that the current generation?
I've got a Gen Alpha baby.
Have you got a Gen Alpha too?
Yeah, two, right?
I think it's
14 till 0 to
Yeah,
14.
do you know what? I am less clear on the lower age limit.
So
I
we
have to be
spoke to an
honest.
anthropologist who
Yeah.
said it's very fashionable to name a generation. If you can be the person who names them, you become very famous. So what's happening is generations are becoming smaller because people keep trying to name new
then
ones.
there's a chance
so
to name the next
then
one.
they
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be the
yeah.
person.
Yeah,
The
yes.
only generation that was ever meant to be one was the boomers because they were
boomers.
so big.
Yeah.
But then we just named everything and everyone wants to, you know,
Yes.
but yeah, so maybe your
it's
little
next.
one is outside of the
Gen
alphas.
T.
Yeah.
The alphas are like, I call them, they're like the skibbities, aren't they? Like this, the skibbity rizzes and all of
Yeah,
that.
well, I
Like,
think I might be too old to even know what that means.
I just say it because it sounds good.
It sounds like you hear your kids saying it, you're like, oh,
I was going to
skibbity.
say there are still, so my kids are now 27 and 24, and that sometimes there are things I say, and my son in particular, who's the 24-year-old, just looks at me and goes, Mum.
Oh, yeah.
It's like I don't go there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So where are they spending their money then? Like, I mean, you've got such a broad range of
Yeah.
kids, right? You've got young adults down to
Yeah,
like
we
children.
have.
But
Yeah.
could you give us some insights about like the spending behaviour?
Yeah, again, it's fascinating. There are some kind of gender stereotypical things. So if you look at gaming, very, very strongly weighted towards boys. Plenty of girls gaming, but it is still strongly weighted towards boys. I think in one of our youth economy reports, we wrote the phrase that teenage girls are keeping the high street alive and well. girls in particular, and I do mean teenage girls, 11 plus, use it very much as a tool to socialise with. So it's going out on the high street, going to a coffee shop, going to the cinema, spending on the high street, those sort of things. And then I think what's really shifted in the last couple of years is the use of food delivery apps. It's incredible to see. I think it was 113% increase, 23 to 2024, in the amount of money that kids were spending on the Deliveroos, Just Eats, etc.
Wow. Is that post-pandemic? Almost.
Post-pandemic,
People
yeah.
so maybe that
further
kind of
out.
pushed it out.
It's also, I think it's showing. What we see is kids and teenagers making active decisions about the brands that they spend their money with. Mm-hmm. So there is really a consciousness about the fact that money gives you choices to put your money where you think a brand is sustainable. They're seeking out sustainable brands, ethical brands, moving away from some of the fast fashion and perceived as not so sustainable companies, not just in the fashion sphere. And then convenience. So I think that speaks to the Deliveroos and Just Eats. It's this kind of sense that it's really easy to get things quickly and make things happen quickly, and they lean into that, and that's how they spend their money.
Do you have data on saving, like between boys and girls, who saves more, or different age groups?
Yep. What's interesting is there isn't a big differential between girls and boys on saving. We should probably say we strongly encourage saving within the app. So if somebody's not using the savings pot or our high interest savings account, we'll gently nudge, because one of the habits we really want to encourage is that when money arrives, so the concept that money has to come from somewhere, so maybe you have to earn it, but you also get your pocket money. When that money lands, you have a choice on what you do with it. So we encourage putting a little bit away into your savings. We make clear there's a choice to use your money for good, so to donate a little bit to charity. We're just about to reach £750,000 donated by GoHenry kids to the NSPCC over the last few years. And that's in micro donations. So I think the average donation is 5, 6, 7 pence, something like that.
That's amazing, because where else can you give 5p? You can kind of aggregate the collective power of all those kids. And
absolutely.
They still get the lesson that it feels good to give, and that it's a nice thing to do. Yeah. And the partner is perfect, because it highlights to them that they're probably pretty lucky. And there's lots of kids out there that aren't.
I think so. And our aim is to help kids set healthy money habits that, by dint of the word habit, they take into adulthood. Because if they go into adulthood confident with money, understanding that, when eventually their salary comes in, they can put a little bit away to save it, they can put a little bit into an investment, they can choose to donate to charity if that's what they'd like to do, and then the rest is spends, then that's fantastic. That will create a generation of money confident adults who are less likely to get themselves into financial difficulty and more likely to have savings that help them ride through the inevitable hiccups that life throws at you. So, it makes a huge difference.
Does it work? Because you've had some kids that have come out the end now, I'd imagine, and you can probably say, look at them. I don't know if you have that ability to follow them around or have case studies, but what some of the kids that have been through the GoHenry system, how are they?
Make me sound like a stalker, I wander around after them.
You were the one who said that you follow your kids around.
This is true. No, obviously when they leave the GoHenry universe, we don't know necessarily. However, we have done a few pieces of research with them. And actually, one of the ones, a lovely story, Henry. Oh. You might not know this, but the original Henry is the first child ever to use one of our cards. So when we launched, we were called Pocket Money, spelt with no vowels, so PKTMNY. And we realised very quickly that was a very stupid name for a digital company because nobody could say it.
No one can spell it.
Nobody could spell it. People used to phone up and say, you know, can I speak to Louise Hill at... I was like, oh, God, this was a bad idea. So we changed the name, and it was always going to be Go Something, because I talk incessantly about having a go, you know, trying stuff, having a go, and learning by doing. So it was going to be Go Something. And it was almost chance, but one of the team who was flagging our beta test customers so that we could strip them out of reporting, came over to the group where we were talking about what would the new name be. And she said, guess what the name was of the first child who ever used one of our cards? And it was, at the time, an 11-year-old boy called Henry, who lived in Bristol. He one of three brothers. They'd all got what were then pocket money cards, now GoHenry cards. And he now has a hoodie which says The Henry on it.
No way.
Yeah. Because I kept introducing him to, this is The Henry.
This is him.
Yeah. But he last time we spoke to him, which was a few months ago now, he is a comms officer at Bristol University, all grown up, obviously, in his late 20s now. And he launched a piece of some content for us called GoHenry Grads, looking at how he uses money, how he thinks about money, how some of his peers and friends were using money, and some of the differences.
Well, thankfully it wasn't my son, otherwise you might have been called Go D's Nuts. Lucky it wasn't him, the first customer. The investment piece, I'd like to talk about that. I'd like to talk about how you view investment and kind of like the products that you have there, because I think you've made some interesting choices, which, like, I agree with personally, but how do you view the investment for kids? Like, what products are available? What are they invested in? If you have that, like,
so I'm going to have to guess when we launched it. I think about 3 years ago, we launched a junior ISA, stocks and shares junior ISA. And you said interested in some of the decisions we made. Listeners will know in the UK there are two types of junior ISA available, just as there are two types of ISA available, a cash version and a stocks and shares version. And from our perspective, when you look at the length of time that an investment is held, the longer the length of time that investment is held, the safer, and I'm going to put that word in inverted commas, the safer that investment is, because it rides out any peaks and troughs in the market. And when you think about investing for a child in a junior ISA, if you're starting when they're born, or even if you're starting when they're 5, 6, you've got 13 years, 18 years for that investment to ride out all of the market ups and downs. It's not something that can be taken out again. So it's not like an adult putting money away in a stocks and shares ISA that they need out in 4 months, definitely, because it's the deposit for their house, when what the market is doing at that point in time might affect the value of what they get out. It's a long-term investment. So we were very much of the opinion that we need to teach kids, we need to encourage parents to invest in stocks and shares, particularly when it's for a long-term period, which a junior ISA is. And by dint of that, help parents teach their kids about investment as well. So, we have a stocks and shares junior ISA. Initially, it's been made available just to GoHenry customers. We've had fantastic take-up of it. We've got a big number of customers using it. And what we would like to do is expand that further, because at the moment, what the product doesn't let parents do is, unless they show their kids it on the app, they can show the kids how much money they've got in the junior ISA saving for them. But actually, as a parent, if you can talk to your kids about the fact that you're putting away money for their future, again, you're setting that seed in the child's mind that's a good thing to do. This is the responsible thing to do. That you're as a parent, you're literally investing in your child's future. And again, that sets a great habit and mindset for the child to grow up with.
So, Mr. Akarole, I hear you are a salesman.
Elite salesman, yes.
One of the best, they say.
I've got a little bit of experience in the game, yeah, I could say.
Done a few deals.
I bill.
What would your compliance team say about you?
They would say that I am always nagging them, and that essentially I have beef with compliance. I love the team. Compliance slows down all my deals because every time I get to the finish line, they've got to check documents, KYC, GDPR, and it's just a nightmare. It slows the deal down by like 2-3 weeks.
It's always on both sides as well, isn't it? Sometimes it can be block on the other side.
Exactly.
Well, that's where today's sponsor can help.
Indeed. Vanta helps companies of all sizes get secure and compliant fast, and they stay that way.
They do it by automating compliance with over 35 security and privacy frameworks like SOC 2, ISO 27001, and HIPAA.
Yeah, all of them. And this saves businesses so much time and money.
According to a recent IDC study, Vanta customers save over $500,000 a year in costs.
Not bad.
And they also help you complete security questionnaires up to 5 times faster, which is great because everybody hates filling out forms. If you're a business that needs to prove security and compliance, visit vanta.com/making money to sign up for a completely free demo today. You mentioned obviously around food orders and the fact that they have this kind of instant thing. The investment piece is all about delayed gratification, which I think is like a crucial money lesson. You know, the sacrifice of consumption today for the hope of greater consumption tomorrow is how my economics teacher defined investment. But it's that point of like, yeah, you spend your money and you get your burgers, but there's this bit here. And then in 10 years, they'll be like, oh crap, that's done well. I've got more than I put in, hopefully. Yeah. What are the investments that they can buy within that? You know, what are the suite of funds?
Right now, it's a single diversified fund with BlackRock.
Okay.
So very, very simple. When we did the research around it, it's very interesting when you look at the British public's appetite and knowledge of investing. You'll know we've operated in the US since 2018. If you compare that to the American public's appetite for investing, there is a substantial difference.
I think 50% of Americans invest, whereas in the UK it's much lower. Only 6% of adults have a stocks and shares ISA, I think.
Absolutely. So that, you know, even if you look at ISAs where people are effectively saving, I think 70% of ISAs are cash ISAs. That number might not be exactly right, but it's that kind of proportion. And in my head, that's a shame. That's a shame. We're in the UK, we're missing a trick. If we could get the public to understand that unless it is a time-limited investment, like the example I talked about, if you're investing long-term, the best thing to do is start young, put a little bit away, every week, squirrel it, or every month, whatever works for you, squirrel it away and leave it there. Diversified portfolio, not buying single stocks and shares, not playing around with day trading, that kind of thing, but a safe, balanced portfolio. Keep putting the money away. Let compound interest do its work. It's insane how it can change, you know, over if you think a 20-year-old to a 40-year-old, a 20-year period, or your child's junior ISA, 0 to 18, the difference that compound interest makes from the amount you've put in to the amount that is available at the end of it, that could fund your child's first car. It could fund a deposit on a flat. It could fund a very glamorous gap year. You know, big goals for people in life. We could be funding.
We should do the same. They should do the same with pensions, and they should front load the pension responsibility to kids, like wean out the state pension over a generation, and put the money in a junior SIP for kids at birth by government, and then because like you let compounding do the lifting. The time. Yeah, so by the time they're 60, there's a lot of money in there. You auto enroll them at 18 or when they start working as well. So yes. But yeah, I think that decision that you made is like one of the bravest business decisions, because like, you know, I see other providers, cash ISAs are infinitely more popular. Yep. If you have cash ISAs, you will get more inflows. Trading 212 introduced a cash ISA and it like trebled the size of their business in a few months, because British people love cash ISAs, whereas
do.
what you've done is go, no, it's not the right product.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is try and educate our people. And I do think that that's you've done a great thing there.
Thank you. Do you know what? I really appreciate you saying that. One of the things we talk to everyone in the company about is it's the customer's money first and ours second. And we genuinely believe if we look after the customer's money, that will ultimately drive success for GoHenry. It's when you start putting the company's money first that you lose. You're not doing the right thing. We should be doing the right thing for our customers. And yeah, it felt like a brave decision because we knew we would get fewer junior ISAs set up, but I still fundamentally believe it's the right decision.
You'll have kids that invest when their parents don't, I bet.
Yeah.
And I bet over the long run, the parents will be like, oh, maybe I should invest.
Well, that's what I'm hoping the rub-off will be.
I
mean, we know from customers writing in, from parents writing in, that when kids start to save, it's amazing how often we will hear from a parent who says, I can't believe this. I've been watching my son save or my daughter save. I've started saving. I've never saved in my life before. It's that rub-off effect is considerable.
I got a junior ISA. Damo is my son's godfather, so he puts money in every month.
Well done.
One of the few nice things he does for me.
Yeah.
It's for your son, mate.
Exactly. He doesn't even do anything nice for me. He just likes my son.
Just employ him.
Yeah, and then digs me out all the time. But I think it's amazing that you guys, like Damo said, offer stocks and shares junior ISA. Do you have any plans of junior SIP? Because like you said, the compounding does its thing. So I got my son a SIP, and I'm thinking if he in 60, 70 years, the compound is going to be crazy. And I wish I had a junior SIP when I was a kid. So
yeah, I'm going to, not at the moment. No, I am going to say when my kids were young and what was it called? What is it called? Child benefit. Yeah. The child benefit payment came in when I got past the first few years of GoHenry, when we didn't have 2 pence to rub together, and got to a point where I felt I could afford to. I actually set up SIPs for both of my kids, and I used to put the child benefit money, split it in half because you get a little bit more for the older one, but split it in half and put it into their SIPs, and frankly, then forgot all about it. It got to a point where I just had that money going in every month. And it was only when the first one hit 18 and I got contacted by the SIP company to say, we're about to tell Isabella she's got X pounds in her SIP. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I better tell them about that.
No, yeah. Amazing. Can we talk about fees on the service? So how do the fees work for the actual card itself and that service? The more like the banking side, and then what about the investment side?
We have 3 tiers in GoHenry. So the everyday tier is £3.99 a month. The next tier up is the plus tier, is £5.99 a month. Only people with and that tier you get a high interest savings account, which pays out interest daily, so that kids literally, once they've got 30, 40 pounds in there, literally every couple of days they'll get a little ping to say another 2p interest has gone into your account. Trying to set those habits. And then we have the max tier, which you can have up to 4 kids on the max tier. They get the high interest savings account as well. And that's £9.99 a month. But as I said, that's for up to 4 kids.
Okay. And then the investment stuff, is there like a fee for the junior ISA? Is it just like a fund fee?
Yeah.
BlackRock fund fee?
Yeah.
And it's like a global portfolio or like a...
It is a global spread portfolio. Yeah. We literally decided to keep it super simple. We've had so many conversations over the last couple of years about, do we release a green fund and do we release a female founder fund? They even suggested. I think they might have been trying to sell to the audience, me. But, or a US tech giant fund. And our decision has been, keep it simple.
I think you make the right decision.
Global.
I think you present choice and people get paralyzed. You're trying to convince people that don't invest to invest. Once you
exactly.
start introducing like female founder and big tech and
It's like,
and it's all
what is
like
that?
fund managers just want to sell things that are in vogue. They'll come back the next week, buy this AI fund. And you know what I mean? It's it's like the anthropologists. They're incentivized to move the units, you know, like whereas you just go, no, like global, sensible. You're trying to move people to the water, aren't you? Not like
You're right. It's we're not looking for the sophisticated investor.
No.
You know, they hopefully know what they're doing
five.
anyway.
they're like kids.
I'm trying to persuade people like me. I didn't know anything about it. I thought investing was something rich people did, and you know, I certainly wasn't rich and didn't grow up in a family that considered themselves rich. It's one of the things when I'm talking to a lot of people in the money world now, the concept that there is this whole industry called wealth managers. Please stop using that word, wealth managers.
It scares everyone off.
It scares people. It put me off. Why would I go and talk to a wealth manager? I wasn't wealthy.
I'm not wealthy.
Yeah.
I think they like it, don't
Money
they?
managers.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about investing is that I know like doctors who don't invest and like lawyers and then also bin men who are great at investing. So it doesn't necessarily mean, I'm rich, so I'm good at investing. It's like just people weren't taught it. So it's not just because you've got a good job, you're good at investing. No, like it's
if you have no money, you probably need it more.
Yeah.
You need the investment more.
Yeah.
The person who's a billionaire, they could probably stick it in a cash bank account and do it
Exactly.
okay. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
They'll
if you've
probably
got no
survive.
money, you're the
Yeah.
person that needs to learn about investment.
Yes, and actually that leads me in a way very nicely. So the last couple of years, we have been trying to lobby government. There's a word I didn't even know 2 years ago, lobby government, but talk to government, persuade government to make financial education mandatory in every school in the UK, because it just isn't. Back in 2014, so over 10 years ago now, it was added to the secondary curriculum.
Was this Martin Lewis's influence at the time?
I think it had a lot to do with it.
He pushed it.
And
right.
it was, there's a real nuance around what ended up happening. So it was added to the curriculum. But what's happened between then and now is successive governments have pushed, encouraged, and then mandated a lot of schools to become academies. And academies don't have to follow the curriculum. The financial education was put into, the schools were left to choose whether it went into citizenship or PSHE. And I didn't realise at the time, this is stuff I've learnt through looking into this, PSHE stands for personal, social, health and economic education. I thought the E was, I thought it was personal, social and health education. It isn't. It's personal, social, health and economic education.
All in one little 60-minute lesson a week.
Which
bundle all that in together.
Bundle it all in with non-specialised. The PSHE Association, they have specialised trained teachers. They do a fantastic job. One of the challenges a lot of schools have is if they're going to pull a child out to do extra reading or extra maths or anything else, they pull them out of PSHE. We know from our research that more than 70% of kids leave school saying they've never received any financial education.
They don't remember it, do they? Yeah, they don't remember it.
It's just, it is so patchy. There are some schools who are brilliant, are really leaning into it and giving a great education. And there are many, many schools that don't do it at all. Or it's, compound interest is explained in the maths lesson, in the higher grade maths lessons. And of course, if you think back to what we were saying earlier about you need to start early teaching kids about money, starting at 11, 12 at secondary school is too late. So we started a campaign called Make Money Count a couple of years ago, and we've been lobbying for it to go into the curriculum, for the curriculum to be made mandatory and for it to start in primary schools. And I am, as I sit here today, I'm really hopeful. The current government has been listening. If you think about the growth agenda that the government has currently, imagine if we raise the next generation from primary school to be confident with money, to understand that you put away a little bit of your money in savings, you put away a little bit of your money in investment. Just think through the outcomes of that. We know that adults who have had financial education as a child and are confident with money are 40% more likely to be in employment than somebody who hasn't had any financial education. They're far more likely to have a savings pot behind them, an emergency fund for, when you have a bump in your car or your boiler blows up, to allow them to ride out the ups and downs that hit you in life. Those people who've had financial education, they're 46% more likely to start a business. And, when those things sound great at that level, but when you extrapolate that out, 46% more likely to start a business in a single year, so think 18-year-olds to 19-year-olds, that equates to 123,000 new jobs. That equates to a 7% reduction in unemployment. That equates to, it's actually £6.98 billion additional on the GDP per year.
Per year.
Per year.
Yeah, it's the growth.
Yeah.
You get the growth.
And it helps with our pensions crisis as well.
Of course.
Do you think that, would you help with the curriculum? Like actually deciding the curriculum for the different age groups? Because I did economics in school and there was little to no, maybe I just don't remember, but there was nothing about investing. I dropped the course halfway through the term and did design technology instead.
Maybe you missed the week that was investing.
I might have, but I mean, after
He
term,
wouldn't have remembered anyway.
Yeah, after term and a half, I'm like, enough of this, mate. I haven't learned how to make money. But yeah, would you advise on the curriculum?
Do you know what? I think that is best left to educators. The people who absolutely understand education. We worked with educators when we built all of our money missions. So we've not talked about that, but inside the GoHenry app, there's 120 something money missions, and they're all age and stage appropriate. They cover all the things that kids need to know about money at the various stages in their life. So we do 6 to 10-year-olds, 10 to 14-year-olds, and then 14 plus. And it literally covers where does money come from. One that I love, because I don't think anybody ever talked to me about this, why do different jobs earn different salaries? So a nurse versus an oil rig diver versus a brain surgeon versus a checkout assistant. And all the way through to compound interest, investing, cryptocurrency, everything. So no, we wouldn't get involved in that. And we don't go into schools. We don't have the bandwidth for that. We try and stick to our swim lane. We provide a service to parents and kids to help teach their kids about money. And I want to make sure we do that the best we possibly can.
It's hard. I educate people on personal finance, and I always get people say, you should make videos for kids. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't even know how to educate my own son. And I see him making mistakes, and I'm like pulling my hair out going, what do I say to him in this moment? Where he's like, why would I say it when I can just buy this now? And it's like,
and this does a big finance interview.
Yeah, you know what though? It's interesting. You use the word mistake there. They learn by their mistakes.
You can't make them.
And I guess part of what we've tried to build, if they make a £2 or a £20 mistake when they're 8, that's better than a £2,000 mistake when they're 28, and God knows how big that number might get when they're older. It's one of the things we see happening is, and really this is what drives whenever anybody says, what's the one thing I can do to help my kids learn about money? It is give them regular pocket money. It doesn't matter, really doesn't matter if it's 5 pence or it's £5, whatever you can afford. But if I give you the opposite example, if you give them 20 pence this Saturday, and then in 10 days' time you give them £2, and 3 days later you give them £1, and 3 weeks later you give them £10, the behaviour that is likely to trigger is they'll spend it. If they get £2 or 50p on Saturday morning, every Saturday morning, or pick another day of the week of your choice, it is incredible how quickly the behaviour changes. They might blow it, but very, very quickly they start to think about, oh, if I wait 3 weeks, or if I wait 6 weeks, I can buy X, Y, Z. And that's where we see the savings pots getting set up and them starting to save towards a bigger goal. And that's already changing behaviours. And I suppose preparing them for one day when they're earning money, but at a very, very simple level, it's driving a behaviour change. It doesn't have to be done through GoHenry. It can be done with cash. But simply giving them regular money so that they understand what's there makes a huge difference. And the other thing is really tough to do when you're a parent. If they have got a card, I'll give you an example. My poor kids, I use them as examples all the time. My daughter, how old was she? Probably about 13. Went off down the high street with one of her mates on a Saturday morning. Giggle, 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 because that's all she did when she was 13. Came back home full of delight. Guess what we've been doing, Mum? They'd been to Superdrug. Or they'd been in lots of shops, but they'd been to Superdrug. Superdrug had, at the end of one of the gondolas, the shelving units, they'd got a bargain bucket, and they'd got all of their old nail varnishes in there, and they were 50p each. Isabella had bought 26 bottles of nail varnish, and she had about 7 pence left on her GoHenry card. And I'm like, as a parent, I'm like, what the heck can you possibly want with 26 bottles of nail varnish? But the girls were so delighted. Her friend had done the same thing, emptied her card on nail varnish. They lined them all up on the kitchen counter. They were painting, half the nail one colour, 20 different colours on their hands and their feet. They had a brilliant time. And then off they went upstairs to Izzy's bedroom. And came downstairs a couple of hours later. Oh, Susie's invited us to go to the cinema tomorrow. Can I go? And I thought, she's got 7 pence left on her card, hasn't she? And I said, well, how much money have you got left, sweetheart? And she went, her whole face fell. And she's like, oh. And do you know what? That was I had a huge conversation with myself in that couple of seconds, because how easy would it have been to pull out
a
20 quid note?
You got to let them fail.
And go on, off you go. And I didn't. I played hardball, and I just went, oh, that's a shame,
it's very hard to do.
I'm not going to be in the bad cop.
Maybe,
that's the lesson the parents got to take. Because otherwise they just think, oh, well, I'll just get it off my dad, and then you'll be 50 getting calls, mate. Like,
there is a part 2 to it. Off she went back upstairs again, very upset, and came down again when it was time for a friend to go home, and said, how much do you pay those men to clean your car at the weekend? And I'm like, wow.
There you go.
And I said, £12. This was a while ago. £12, and I usually round it up to. I give them a tip, so if they've done a good job, I round it up to 15. She said, would you pay me 15 quid if I cleaned your car? I'm like, do you know what? Absolutely.
My last question, I was just going to ask you because someone came on the podcast before and they said you shouldn't pay your kid for chores. And me and my partner are currently arguing about whether we give our son pocket money. Obviously, we put money in his eyes.
Too, mate.
I know,
what are you going to get him doing?
Hey, my parents had me working from young. So my parents always made me do like summer jobs, weekend jobs, like you said, washing the car, different types of jobs, work experience. And they would give me extra money. I'd have my pocket money and then get extra money for jobs. Do you think it's a good idea to pay your children for chores, essentially?
You've hit the nail on the head. It's one of those Marmite questions. There are parents who passionately think that's important.
I do.
There are parents who passionately think the kids should help around the house because they're part of the family and not get paid for it. I would not sit on the fence. I'm not going to sit on the fence. I said how important it is to pay give your children regular pocket money. Yeah. So I would not move away from that. Give them regular pocket money. But if you can add, if it works for your child, if you can add a little bit, if you give them a way to top it up through chores, and they might be slightly different chores, particularly in the holidays, you might get them helping a bit more around the house with some extra chores. It's a great way to teach them that money has to be earned. It doesn't just come out of mum and dad's pockets the
That's
whole
favourite
time.
phrase.
I would
Value
look,
of money. Learn the value of money.
No, it's
I would also
really
look at it from a
important.
perspective of like what's labour that you would have to perform for free versus like you know
like cleaning the
if they've
sink
got
is
to I'm not paying them to tidy their rooms.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not paying them to vacuum the stairs, but I'll pay you to clean the car. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain jobs that where if it's like, oh, I want extra money, I'll be like, okay, let's come build a
And
shed.
what
Clean the shed out. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Do you know what? My daughter, who's now 27, if you ever need IKEA furniture assembling,
Should we get it done?
oh my goodness, she's insane. She doesn't even look at the instructions. She just does it. I
used to
now
it.
know, you know, if I'm buying something from IKEA, it's like, Izzy,
you don't end up with
can
like
you
some
come
abstract
over?
art.
No, she's got it nailed.
In uni, I slept on a mattress for like 2 times because I built the IKEA bed and I'm like, I'll build it tomorrow. And I just didn't build it for the first 2 times and I built it and then I moved flat like a term later. So I only had in Durham. Yeah. I was just lying on a mattress on the floor. It served its purpose.
Yeah, I don't mind a mattress on the floor.
Yeah, it's comfy.
It's
And I was like,
nice.
I bought this bed, I should probably build it.
So I save for my kids outside of like their GoHenry and that. So like contributions to Sips and Ices. Like how much do you think we should talk about our kids about that element? So for example, I try to explain because I take pictures of receipts for VAT returns and stuff. And my son was like, "What are you doing?" And I explained it. And now everywhere we go, he's like, "There's 10 quid VAT on this. We can get this." And I'm like, no, this is a personal expense. And I could see how he's like kind of got it, but not. And I'm like, I don't know where is the appropriate line to share.
I think those sort of conversations are great. You know, one of the things we try and build into GoHenry is to trigger conversations in the home. Because if your child's asking questions or if you have the opportunity to have that conversation with them, that's a great way to get them to understand how money works in the real world. And it's really important. That's why when I was trying to start the company, it was amazing how many people told me, number one, that I ought to set it up as a charity. And then number two, that it ought to be just an education app. And I'm like, no, you can't learn about money. It's like swimming. You can learn the theory of swimming, but you're never going to swim until you get in the water. I think money's the same thing. You can learn the theory, but until you've got money and you're making decisions, learning from mistakes, you will never learn to be truly confident with money.
Yeah, and the card is that's what they want. You know, that's the thing that they love. Like you can't another education app, they just wouldn't use it.
No, I would absolutely agree with you. You're making me smile saying about the card you said earlier about the phrases your son had come up with to put on the card. A couple of brand experts, when we decided we were going to do that, told us that's madness. You never, ever, ever mess with your brand. You know, your brand name is GoHenry. That has to stay. And I'm like, no, but that's adult psychology.
Yeah.
This is personalization is key. This is for kids. It's for teenagers. Personalization is key. And you know, we use that in some of our ads where you'll see the card and the Go logo, and then we spiral with hundreds of different
You've got all the
names and
different
things.
like the vinyls, like you can pick the
Yeah,
designs
you can pick
and
loads of different
motifs.
colours,
And then what my kids have done is they draw around their card on paper and then they design more themselves at home. Like they make like little custom ones and then they stick their paper on the front and then like
You have to send some of those in.
Yeah, they love that.
Every now and then we a couple of times now we've run competitions for kids to design cards, and then when the winners are selected, we issue them.
That's a big
and give
moment.
them a fee for being the creators. Give them a fee for
pay
each
them.
card that's bought. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big moment in the house. My son's feedback was like, I always lose the card, but I honestly think he gets rid of them so he can order new ones. Like, it does my head in. Yeah.
I think it's amazing because I've got a Revolut card and I paid extra to have a metal card that just so I could customize it. So I've got a little rocket ship, a little podcast microphone, and I've got like a peace sign on it. And I'm just like, like a little hippie peace
Inner
sign.
child here.
And I
You've got
love
like
it.
the gold one that's
I've got
weighted.
I paid an extra like 150 quid just to have a gold card. But I love I'm a big kid, so I understand how the kids enjoy it because I'm like, I'll pay 100 quid for customization on my metal card. Why not?
Yeah, we've just released a LED card that flashes when you tap it.
I need some of that.
Yeah, I need some of that. I've
Flashes when you
might have replaced one of my cards. So
You got to think like a kid, though,
it's
haven't
not
you?
arrived
What they
yet.
do is,
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about what
Yeah.
what they would like and flashy things. And
Yeah.
So, last question then: if you've got a parent now who's like, I want to start teaching my kids about money, what piece of advice have you got for them on where to start?
I guess I've already said one of those, which would be just
Regular
start
pocket
giving
money.
them regular pocket money. Yeah, even if it, you said T, you've got a 2-year-old, but that
He doesn't need it yet, though, does he?
no, but you said
Yeah, but
that they're shouting money
Yeah.
when they see coins.
I just give him money whenever he asks, which is every single day. But then we go to Sainsbury's and put it all in that big machine
Oh, right,
and
and it
convert the
converts
coins,
it.
and then I
Yeah.
stick that in his ISA. So he loves like pouring
Yeah,
the coins out the
exactly.
tin into the
So
machine.
you
Then we get
cannot-
the paper out, and he's
you
like,
cannot start too
And I
young.
said, we've got to take it to the till and get our money. And then he like walks over to the till with his
Yeah,
little ticket.
super proud.
Yeah, super proud. Yeah.
It's
And then they give him cash. He's like, more money.
yes. I'm thinking back to there was when my kids were quite young, and my daughter's 2.5 years older than my son, and my son came into wherever I was, and with a handful of 2-pence pieces. And I said, oh, he's like, look. And I said, oh, that's lovely, sweetheart. Where did you get those from? He said, oh, Isabella swapped all the silver and gold little ones for these nice big brown ones.
Oh, done over. Isabella's a hustler.
Isabella's a hustler. You got to buy more nail polish, man.
Yeah, so I words were had with Isabella, taking advantage of her little brother. But yeah, they have the concept of money, don't they? Very, very young. So yeah, just start having those conversations. And as I said, some of the games in the supermarket. We get asked a lot for tips over the summer holidays. One of the things I always suggest is if you've got teenage kids or 12, 13, that kind of age and up, if you're planning a family day out, you spoke earlier about going to the cinema. And if you go to the cinema and then go to a restaurant, that can easily be £100 gone without thinking about it. Well, what about setting a budget for a family day out and then letting the kids figure out what they're going to do?
Great. And they spend it all in the first 5 minutes, and you go, well, we're going home now. And they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
What about the meal? What
Can
about
I
this?
have-
And you're
can I have
like,
ice-
well, no.
can we have ice
You just
creams?
spent
It's
it
like-
all on wobbly poo things.
Yeah.
Like, true story. You know, like the stretchy poo toys.
Yes,
I don't know if you know the
exactly what
stretchy
you mean.
poos.
I know exactly
Yeah.
what you mean. Yeah, but again, that's a great way to get them thinking about.
Let them fail, and like don't just jump in. Like you got because I've
Although, boy, that's hard as a parent.
it's hard
really
because
hard.
it's heartbreaking,
Yeah.
and you want to like go, oh, don't worry, here, But no, you got to let them.
Remember my story. I got my car cleaned.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No, it's
We'll
been
let you
great.
get out of the hot seat.
Yeah,
Bit of
more ways
sweat
than
on.
one.
Yeah.
So how much pocket money are you going to give to your kid, T?
0. No, he's gonna get loads when he's probably age of 6. I'll start.
Loads.
Yeah,
Define loads.
£10 a week.
£10 a week at 6.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but if he
mate.
does this all GoHenry, he can save it. I don't want to just blow it. He can save it
He
along
ain't
the way.
saving that. He's going to buy like 50 Mars bars or something.
No, he's not allowed sweets.
£10 a week.
Not paying dentist bills.
I don't overcommit. We started giving ours £5 a week, and within like 4 months, I was like, "This is too much money." And
yeah.
you can't take it back, can you? Because they collect.
Yeah, but you can put it in the savings.
Yeah. How are you going to teach them about money?
Through hard work and graft, and like just general, like we said in the episode,
Sounds
like
oppressive, mate. Hard labour.
work harder. Like we said in the episode, teach them the value of money, make it interesting, some games, some real life examples, make it so it's a teaching interactive thing, not just like here's your money, go away.
Do you remember that worksheet that we put together that was like 80% of everything you need to know about personal finance on like a document?
Yeah.
Maybe you should check that out
Cheat sheet
using the link in the description.
below.
There you go.